President Biden set to deliver a prime-time address tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern. There, he will explain his historic and, in some quarters, stunning decision to drop out of the 2024 presidential race and outline for the very first time his plans for what he will do with the remainder of his now lame duck presidency. On the campaign trail, Vice President Kamala Harris, who now inherits the role of presumptive Democratic nominee, makes stops in Indianapolis and Houston. Meanwhile, former President Trump will hold his first rally since President Biden dropped out of the race in Charlotte, North Carolina. That is later on this evening. And on Capitol Hill, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu addressed Congress while thousands took the streets of Washington in protest. We will be live on Capitol Hill just a bit later this hour. But we start with our Weijia Jiang. She joins us from Indianapolis. Weijia, you're in an interesting position. You cover the President of the United States, but that person is no longer the candidate for presidential election in 2024. You cover the vice president in that capacity. So let's start with President Biden. To the degree you can, Weijia, outline tonight's address.
Well, remember, Major, tonight is the first time that we will hear from President Biden since he sent that stunning letter via social media on X announcing to Americans that he was going to step out of the race for 2024. We have barely seen him, and we certainly have not heard him say anything, which is precisely why he wanted this primetime slot to directly talk to the American public and explain why. But we also expect that he will focus on the time he does left as president and what he wants to accomplish in the next 6 months, while also reminding people what he has done in the past 3.5 years. Of course, this is a president who deeply cares about his legacy and at every turn tries to remind people what he has accomplished, because even though he is not running for re-election, of course, this time in office is incredibly important to this lifelong politician. And Major, I expect it's also an answer to the many Republicans that continue to ask, if he is not fit to run for re-election, why is he fit to serve as commander-in-chief? Because they argue that doing the job of president is much harder than running for re-election. But of course, now that he is off the trail, not going to these back-to-back events, crisscrossing across the country, he can focus on his job as commander-in-chief, which is precisely why he said he was stepping down, so he could give all of his attention to finishing out his term as president. Major?
And the event in Indianapolis for Kamala Harris, how was that received? Any noteworthy comments from the vice president?
So this was an event in her capacity as vice president. It had been on the books for a while now, and it was initially supposed to be a fireside chat with her. But I spoke with the president of Zeta Phi Beta, which is, of course, a historically black sorority that was hosting her here. And she said as soon as the news came out on Sunday, they had to rearrange quickly and make her this keynote speaker. And even though she was here in an official capacity, the lines are blurred between now and November, right? Because she is on the trail every moment that she is making a public appearance. And what I noticed, Major, today as well as yesterday, which was her first official campaign rally, is that her speeches have been relatively short, about 12 to 15 minutes long. But she goes right to the heart of the message that she wants to deliver. And today she said that it is a time for us to step forward. It is time not to look back, but to pave the way for future generations, to make sure we have leadership that can allow anybody, regardless of race, of where you come from, to rise up. And she asked directly for help. She said, in the past, you have helped, referring to the 6,000 sorority sisters who were in the room. You have helped mobilize, energize, and deliver results. And I need you to do that now. So it was, Major, a direct plea. As we know, the black vote was critical to helping President Biden win the White House in 2020, and support for him in this voting bloc had actually began to slip. And so I talked to the president again. She said she does think that Harris, as the nominee, will generate a new amount of support, that she's already seeing an enthusiasm that, frankly, Biden could not churn up, especially ahead of November.
Enthusiasm among the many words being applied, at least so far, to Vice President Harris's candidacy. Weijia Jiang, thanks so very much. We will have full coverage of President Biden's Oval Office address starting at 7:30 Eastern. right here on CBS News 24/7. Now to the Trump campaign. Our Nikole Killion joins us now from Charlotte, and she has a special, I trust, newsmaking guest with her, the chairman of the Republican National Congressional Campaign Committee, Richard Hudson of North Carolina. Nikole, take it away.
Yeah, that's right, Major, and thank you so much, Mr. Chair, for being with us in your home state of North Carolina. We'll hear from the president soon, but how critical will the Tar Heel state be this November?
Well, this is one of those battleground states that Donald Trump must win, and I believe he will win. You look at the energy here today.
And talk to us a little bit, obviously the race is almost set. It's kind of changed within the last couple of days, but how is the NRCC approaching the new ticket on the Democratic side, as well as, now you have a vice presidential nominee as well, a solid ticket with former President Trump and J.D. Vance?
Well, we're still waiting to see who the vice president nominee will be on the Democrat side, but it really doesn't change much of how we operate as a campaign committee working on the House side, because our campaigns have all been about the issues people care about, the cost of things, crime in your neighborhood, fentanyl and deaths, the open border. All these have been caused by the Biden-Harris policies. And so take Biden out, you still got Harris. She was right there every step of the way. In fact, she casted the tie-breaking vote on the Inflation Reduction Act, which exploded inflation in this country.
I mean, in terms of on the Democratic side, with this transition to the vice president as the likely Democratic nominee, does this change the trajectory of the race or your strategy going forward?
Not really, because, again, we're focused on the issues the American people care about. And in all these key issues, they know that the Biden-Harris administration has let them down. Because of their policies, every American is less prosperous and less safe. And so our campaign is based on the issues. Kamala Harris was just as responsible as Joe Biden for the policies.
And, speaking of the vice president, in terms of a number of Republicans, we have heard them call her a DEI pick. Do you think that is a fair line of attack, or should race stay out of it?
Well, I've encouraged my candidates to talk about issues, because the American people, the issues they care about are the issues that they trust Republicans with, because, frankly, Biden and Harris have let them down. The Biden-Harris policies have made the American people less prosperous and less safe, and so that's what we need to be talking about.
I mean, have you privately told any members to back off?
Well, not any individual members, but I did speak to the Republican conference this week and let them know that, we've got a short window now, 100 days with this new nominee. So we need to really get out there and talk about these issues so the American people understand her record. She's a San Francisco liberal, and once the American people understand her record, I think they'll reject her.
And talk to me in terms of strategy, what you're seeing in terms of polling and in terms of, I know obviously you're looking to keep the House, but I know you also said in a recent interview that, you don't know if you can necessarily have another wave. Obviously, there was talk of a red wave back in 2022, didn't necessarily materialize, but in terms of this notion of a wave election, is that not the case anymore? Do you expect things to be much tighter this time around?
Well, there's just not that many competitive seats anymore. Both parties have gotten very good at redrawing these districts to be very safe for their party. So there's only about 35 districts out of the 435 that were won by 5% or less. So very few are up for grabs. And so I just don't see big sweeping waves ever again. And so we're, every single fight or every single campaign is like a knife fight in an alley, and they're going to all come down to the wire. And so we're competing everywhere, but it's just not an opportunity to really get these huge gains or these big swings we've seen in the past.
But I mean, numbers-wise, how many seats are you looking to hold, or what would you like that majority advantage to be?
Well, I like what we're seeing in the polling. I think Republicans will not only hold the House, but we will pick up some seats. I'm not going to give you a number of how many, but I feel pretty good about it. And I think, Donald Trump.
You mean more than last cycle?
So we'll pick up seats more than we have now.
All right. Well, Chairman Richard Hudson, thank you so much for having us here in your home state. Major, we'll send it back to you.
Nikole Killion, thank you so very much. Really appreciate that.